Okay. All right. Hello, I'm Amanda from the Kelly Center, Kelly Music for Life, and I'm here with John Ford Coley, who is a singer, a songwriter, an author, right? And part of the group England Dan and John Ford Coley. And we're going
Man,
to talk with
you
him.
almost had it. You almost
Did
had
I
it.
not?
You were supposed to say things like all around cool guy,
Oh,
all that
you're
kind of stuff.
scaring me.
Yeah, okay,
And he's an all-around cool guy. I
there
will
you
add
go.
that.
A little prompt, so
And you know what I love? You color coordinate with your background.
yeah, I don't know how
Added
that happened.
bonus.
It's hot here today.
Okay, so where are you located?
I'm outside of Nashville, Tennessee, in a little town called Franklin.
Okay, very
Yeah,
nice. So it's up
we
there,
had a
right?
big battle here in 1864, and I live on the Confederate left. So we have ghosts run across this place all the time.
Wow. Well, that's exciting.
Oh, absolutely.
So tell me a little bit about how you got started. I always like to ask musicians, what inspired you to be a musician in the first place?
I think it was something that just naturally gravitated to. When I was a kid, I was pretending that I was playing piano when my father would get a haircut. So I'm sitting on the stool and I would on the little footrest and I would sit there and pretend to play piano. So they gave me lessons. I went through that whole thing as a kid, but when I was throwing a paper route when I was about 12, maybe 13, um, I threw the paper of a man who I'd come in with his niece, and I'd just sit and play the piano. And so he said, "If you'll do this for me, I'll do this for you." So he taught me rock and roll chords and things of that nation, progressions. And I would go in and I would play classical competitions for him. He was a very good classical teacher. So that's pretty much how it started out. And then I got into the band. I was just telling somebody the other night, I'm playing all these self-absorbed pieces like Bach and Beethoven, and it's all about you. Then I get into the band when I'm 15, and I'm playing such great self-absorbed songs like "I Got You, Babe." Boom, dink, dink, boom, dink, dink,
Mhm.
boom, dink. And it's like I'm used to playing. It was just quite a challenge, but I loved that kind of music. So
Okay, so I was going to ask you who your influences were and maybe who inspired you or who helped you develop your sound. So who would that have been?
I go across the board. I don't stick with one style of music. So you're going to have something like Bach and Beethoven, for example, Mozart, Chopin. Then you're going to have Buffalo Springfield. Then you're going to have Whispering Bill Anderson, country. Then you're going to have a lot of the church music. Dad had Daddy spoke Spanish, so he had a lot of friends that were Mexicans, and they came over and they introduced me to flamenco music. I just, there's just, I'm very eclectic in the things that I like. One lady asked me one time what I had on my CD player. I was driving back home doing an interview, and I said, "Well, okay, I've got a six changer. So I've got Sean Colvin, I've got Def Leppard, I've got Bruce Hornsby, I've got Edith Piaf, and I've got Van Halen, and I've got French tapes. Which one do you want to talk about?" So I mean, it's all across the board for me.
That's great. That's great. So what was your big break? Because obviously you became a sensation, but how did that start?
Well, we got lucky. I think at some point God just kind of reached down, kissed me on the head, and said, "Go for it, kid. Have a good time." And so we had a big break when we got to tour with Elton John. I mean, we had a record back in Texas, and then Dan and I split from that group. We went to Los Angeles, got it a deal, and then nothing really happened with it, but we had a number one song in Japan. So we got to tour with Three Dog Night. The first gig we played in LA after the release of the record, they put us with Carole King. And then
Wow.
Elton John jumped on us, and we just got blessed, bred, those guys, Chicago, we're uh, Youngbloods, Three Dog Night. We're touring with everyone in the world because we were acoustic. We only played acoustic guitars and sometimes piano. So there was no fuss about putting us up first, having
Right.
to tear down drums and everything else, and then get the other band up. You just struck two microphones and we were gone. So
Right.
they really
Interesting.
enjoyed that. And that the big break was again in Japan because we toured with Three Dog Night for like 2 or 3 weeks. Then the really big one was I'd really love to see you tonight about 1976. And that was the one that really kind of catapulted us.
Yeah. Now I know you said working with Elton John was a great learning experience too for you, right? Because you
Right.
said I remember you said before he had this incredible work ethic, right? Like
Yeah.
morning till night was working. So how did that affect you, or did you get an influence from that?
Well, the thing is that when you're traveling with all these pros, they teach you how to live on the road, number one. They teach you what to do, what not to do. So we were getting those kinds of experiences. Like you learn, for example, trains don't wait, and neither do airplanes. So when they say it's a 6 o'clock in the morning lobby call, they don't mean 6:15. They
Right.
mean 6 o'clock, and you're out the door and you're gone. So there was that learning curve. There was the fact that these guys all had a shelf life. Now, that was the most important thing because, again, you think this goes on forever and ever. No, you go like this or you go like that.
Right.
And so you recognize, look, when we get time off, you don't go home, you don't go on vacation, you don't spend your time, fluffing around. You get in there and you write and you play because, again, it's a very, very short time period. It's very ephemeral and you're up to date, you're gone tomorrow. And one of the greatest things that I had happen to me played out with Corey Wells from Three Dog Night. Here we're touring with these guys. We played with them back in Texas, played with them in Japan, playing with them on the road. They split. All of a sudden, Corey Wells, one of the three singers, he's opening for Dan and I. This guy has 18, 20 major league hits, and he's opening for us.
Yeah.
And you go, okay, this is how this works. So there was no time wasted. You can sleep later. Just get just get
The
business
music
done.
industry can be very fickle,
Very fickle,
as you know,
very fickle.
and things can change very quickly. So
Right.
you've worked with all of these wonderful musicians. Do you have a dream collaborator? Do you have someone you've always wanted to work with and you haven't gotten the chance yet?
I'd like to work with Todd Rundgren because again, the man is absolutely amazing as a musician to me.
Yes.
Um, he did Love Is the Answer. People I'd like to play. I mean, I've played with everybody and his brother. A lot of them have passed on, like Gary Wright. We just recently lost him.
Yeah.
Um, I'd love to have played with the Beatles. I'd love to play with Paul McCartney or Ringo Starr. That would be fun.
Well,
You
let's see if we
know.
can make it happen.
Well, I think that's a good idea. I like the way that you think.
Yeah, I love the
So,
Beatles, so that would be great. So do you have any favorite experiences with your fans? Because I know you have a very dedicated fan base. They've been seeing you for years and years and years. So do any experiences, come to mind when you think of your fans?
I love the fact that they'll come up and because I tell stories all the time, and so many people have a story that they would like to tell me. Somebody fell in love with this song. We got remarried again. This song popped up, bingo, and so those are always welcome. To hear. The one that really got me, because again, people come up all the time and they say this happened and that happened, how much this song meant to them. And at a certain point, it just kind of goes over your head. And it's like, thank you very much. I really do appreciate it. That's very nice. But I ended up playing about 6 months ago on a cruise.
Oh,
And Peter Asher from Peter and Gordon was one of the people on that. And he had a very nice method of how he would bring people up. Well, they asked me if I would come up and sing with Peter.
Oh, wow.
And I mean, you know, what a thrill that was. Well, I got up and I just did a song. Then when I was leaving, they said, "Would you come up and sing on World Without Love?" And I had already played with Gordon Waller in the Philippines, you know, his partner. Peter, I mean, Gordon and I were almost killed together in a terrorist bombing at the bus station. We just missed it by 2 minutes. We
Oh,
were
my
walking
goodness.
through.
Wow.
So I said, "Yeah, okay, World Without Love, World Without Love. How's that go? Give me a line." And so the guy goes, "Please lock me." I said, "I got it. I know it. I know it." So I get up on stage and I'm singing with Susan Cowsill. And Susan and I go back, you know, a long way. So it's always a thrill to see those guys. And I'm singing the song, and
Hmm.
all of a sudden, I just got this flood of emotion. And I kind of stopped singing. And Susan leaned over and she goes, "You okay?" And I went, "Yeah, yeah, I'm good." Right. Well, I had visions because Dan and I used to travel to various gigs together before we became England Dan and John Ford Coley, just playing in the band. And we'd sing the Righteous Brothers and the Everly Brothers and Peter and Gordon and Chad and Jerry. And we sing all of these duo kinds of songs. All of a sudden, I'm getting a flashback of Dan and I singing in the car this
Oh,
song. And I got really emotional. And I even tried to tell, you know, I told Keith Putney, a guy that worked with him, the next day about that. And it's like, man, I got tears coming down my face. And I'm going, geez, is this what these guys are telling me? You know, when they tell me about their experiences with the songs.
right.
And at that point, it took on a different meaning. So yeah, that's one of my highlight experiences.
Yeah, and it's the power of music. You
It
know,
is.
yeah, it's very, very special bond you can have with people sharing that, that love. So when you started out, from what I know, you did face some rejection at first, right? You had to overcome some obstacles or just a little bit, right? Just a little bit.
If you're in this industry and you haven't faced rejection, you don't have any blood in the ground. I'm sorry.
Right.
It's just the way that it is.
Right. So what would you tell, we were at the Kelly Center, we like to help young performers, high school students to develop their craft and, to get themselves out there and perform. So what advice would you give anyone right now trying to get into the music industry and maybe they're feeling, a little bit discouraged because they're facing rejection? What would you say
There's,
to them?
there's two things that come to mind. Number one, I have a firm theory on songwriting, on music, on film, art, anything of that nature. If you like it, you're right. If you hate it, you're right. It's a value judgment. So if somebody says, "I don't like your song," it's like, yeah, so what? I can go down the street and find 10 people that love it. And if they love your song, you can go down the street and find 10 people that hate it. So you stick with what you do. Little Big Town is a great example of that. Those guys, I met them in 2000. They had a big hit, what, 2004, something like that? Not doing anything different than what they were doing when I met them. All of a sudden it caught up and they were big. Don't quit. Never quit. And the second thing was when Dan and I went to California to try to get a recording contract, we went into various record companies. A&M Records said, "Guys, I love your act. We don't like your songs." And so it's like, okay, what do we do here? So then that very same afternoon, we went over to ABC Dunhill. Three Dog Night was on ABC. We played a guy our songs. And he goes, "Man, I love you guys." He said, "I don't like your songs, but I love you guys." It was cool. It's like it was reversed.
Right.
One loved us, hated our songs. The other one, hated us, and the other one loved our songs. So you just go, nobody really knows. So you just have to follow your own song and go out and play and enjoy yourself because this industry is not, if you're trying to get into the industry, it's not what you think it is at all. It's constant and consistent work.
Hmm.
You don't listen to anybody, you follow your own counsel. That's the only thing that I can tell anybody to do. Follow your own counsel. Don't let them beat you down because they're going to try to. They're
Right.
going to try to. Even when you get there, it's like I play a song now, thing called Running After You. When Dan and I were trying to get away from the softer sound and move into more things that we enjoy doing, went into a radio station, and we played them the Hollywood Heckle and Jive because we were going to release that as a single. Now that's a big rocking song. I mean, we had guys in Toto play on that, all kinds of people. We played it, and they said, "Well, who is this?" We go, "That's us." And they said, "No, that's not you." And we go, "No, that's us." And they go, "No, that's not you." And I said, "No, that's us." And the guy said, "No, you don't understand." He said, "That's not the England Dan and John Ford Coley we want." And at that point, my mind clicked and I said, "We're screwed.
Mhm.
That's it. We are relegated to this over here, and they're never going to let us get out of that. And if that's what we want to continue to do the whole time, maybe we'll be good for another record, maybe two. But otherwise, no. The handwriting's on the wall. It's time to go like this
Right.
and get the heck out of Dodge." So Dan and I pretty much on Love is the Answer said, "We're done." And we walked off on top.
Yeah. Well, that's an interesting strategy because certainly you could have tried to force it, right? To,
Yeah.
um, but you left on friendly terms, right? So it's
Yeah. Well, I mean, this business I often refer to as the fastest gun in the West syndrome. You're constantly looking over your shoulder. This is why when you go off tour, you don't go on vacation. You hit the piano and the keyboard, you start writing for the next one.
right.
Because again, somebody's always back there waiting to take your place.
Hmm.
And the record companies, they don't care. They see new blood. So it's business. And when you come to the conclusion about, look, man, this is business. As long as we're selling records, we're good.
Right.
We stop selling records, they're going to pick somebody behind us.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. So speaking of the type of music that they wanted from you, the soft rock, the yacht rock, it seems like you can't escape it though, because there has been a huge resurgence in the past
right.
couple years. I mean, to the point where, if you're on social media, I see several people, on TikTok and Instagram,
Yeah.
now these influencers that are doing yacht rock covers that are, taking songs from other genres and turning them into yacht rock as a gimmick and it's exploding the yacht rock trend. We have a lot of yacht rock tribute bands around the Philly area that dress up. So how do you explain this sudden interest in yacht rock again? Like, why is it becoming more popular again? Do you
All of a sudden, people began to miss melodies. Okay. Back during the time that we were doing it, the whole yacht rock thing, it wasn't about the group, more or less. It was about the song.
Mhm.
It's not about the song anymore. It's about the artist. So you've got people that are, singing where only dogs can hear, just to make themselves stand out because they
Right.
all sound the same. They all sound the same. They're not doing anything that you go, "That's a great song." You go, "Well, did you hear about so and so?" Okay, that's going to run dry. The only people that I ever knew during that time period that you knew the personalities of the people were the Stones and the Beatles. That was it for me.
Right.
You know, you didn't know who the bass player was. You didn't know who, this guy was. But it was the songs. They were so captivating and people could sing along to them. That to me is what brought yacht rock back because the music today, it lacks those elements.
Mhm.
You know, you got rap. Go ahead, try to sing along with a rap song.
Yeah.
No, you can't do it, you know?
It's a good point. That I think that explains it. That I think
Yeah.
you're right. It's the melodies and the songs and
People like to sing. They
sure.
love to sing.
Well,
So
hopefully they'll be singing along at our show, which
I
is
hope so
October
too.
26th.
Right?
See how I segued into that plug there, which is
That
October
was
26th.
very good. Very good skill.
At the Kelly Center in Havertown. Now, we are right outside of Philadelphia. So, do you enjoy the Philadelphia area? You've been here before, obviously.
I am a history fanatic. So yeah, to be able to go to the places that have history in them, it's like I was up in New Hope at one point, ran over and saw where Washington crossed the Delaware, all those things.
Yeah,
And that holds my interest more than anything else. All the cities, they start to look alike, you know. Um, again, I love to listen to the people's stories that they come up and tell me. I love to get hugs, love to joke with people. And when you come to one of my concerts, and this one is going to be to where I play by myself. A lot of times I go out with Ambrosia. As a matter of fact, I've got dates with Ambrosia, Peter Lurie from not Peter Lurie, Peter Beckett from Player,
yeah,
Elliot Lurie from Looking Glass, who did Brandy. I think those guys are on a couple of the dates that I'm playing on that. But I enjoy playing by myself. So you're going to get about an hour and a half or 2 hours of going down memory lane, playing a couple of new songs. I tell a lot of stories, a lot of jokes. If you're into politics, you're not going to hear anything about that whatsoever because I
good.
don't enjoy talking about it on stage.
Right.
Um, and if you're going to be free from that for a couple of hours, you're going to come in. We're just going to laugh, tell stories, play music, and sit around. It's like sitting around a campfire, smoking cigars, punching one another on the arm. That's
Right.
kind of what it's like. And that's what I enjoy doing.
That's wonderful. Well, I really enjoyed the concert that you did at the Kelly Center before. It was a little over a year ago, and we had a great time. So
We did.
I'm very excited. So it's October 26th at the Kelly Center. And then where can we find you if anyone wants to know more about your tour schedule or your songs? You have a website, social media. Where can they find you?
I do. It's johnfordcoley.com. As a matter of fact, I need to kind of update a couple of things because I've been gone quite a bit. But yeah, it gives the places of playing, the cities and things like that. I'm going to get to do a very, very fun concert on the 1st of November. A good friend of mine, and we have been friends for 15 years at least, and that's Cherie Curry from the Runaways.
Oh,
Now, the
wow.
funny thing is that I only met Cherie physically about 8 months ago. I was in LA and I called her because we talk a couple of times a month. We're always texting and doing stuff. And she said, my sister and my birthday is going to be, the November 30th, but I'm going to Europe. So we're going to play this date. Would you come and play? And I went, good. Are you kidding me? I'm going to play with Cherie Curry from the Dadgum Betcha.
That's
So I'm
exciting.
really looking forward to that. That'll be a good. I think Billy Vera's going to be there. I've never played with Billy. I've seen him play, but I mean, I'm going to get up and do Cherry Bomb. It's gonna be
Yeah. Oh, that's a great song.
yeah,
Where is
it
that
was.
concert?
It's going to be in Los Angeles at the Whiskey. And all the years that I lived in Los Angeles and played around there, I never had the opportunity to even go to the Whiskey, much less play there. So I'm really looking
Making
forward to that.
dreams come true. There you go.
Absolutely. Well, the funny thing is that I run across people all the time. It's like the day that I leave um, um, Philadelphia, I leave on the 22nd. When my friend said, Billy Bob Thornton's playing in Greenville, Texas on the 28th. And I went, that's like a Monday night. I said, okay, pick me up, pick me up at the airport because I haven't seen him in a while. And you run across these kinds of things. It's like Three Dog Night. The same thing happened. They were playing in Greenville, and I hadn't seen Danny Hutton since, gosh, man, the 76. No, I actually saw him in Providence, Rhode Island, about 2004. But I hadn't seen these guys.
Right.
And I went, saw him, played better than ever, looked better than ever. 80 years old. She's probably about 82 now. Still out there doing it. And you go, this is a fun business. You run across some very intriguing individuals.
That is absolutely true. I've met some myself, yes. So, well, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me today, and we're very excited about your show on the 26th. So, I will see you then, and
Okay, I look forward to it.
thank you very much, John.
Thank you.